AI is inevitable, transform or be transformed by Mr. Levis Wilson, founder and CEO at Haloocom. Can we have a big round of applause for Mr. Wilson? Mr. Wilson is a visionary entrepreneur and the director of 𝙆𝙤𝙃 Group, overseeing 4 high-growth enterprises. With 2 decades of experience, he has created a thriving ecosystem that provides opportunities for thousands globally. As the leader of Haloocom, he has transformed business communication through a hybrid source model, enhancing workplace efficiency by 83% and positioning the company as a pioneer in AI-driven contact center solutions. Recognized by CIO Review India and E4M, Levis's commitment to technology for societal benefit extends to venture in media and eco-friendly gifting. His dedication to social impact is evident through initiatives like the COVID-19 helping and plans for the 27/4 Kitchen to Combat Hunger, showcasing his compassion and responsibility as a dynamic leader. Over to you, Mr. Wilson.
I think all of us, almost every day, we come across the word AI, right? And often, let's talk about a 5th standard kid to a 80-year-old person who is sitting right now in a retirement center. Everybody is talking about AI. So, the theme of today's talk is AI is inevitable. Either you transform or be transformed. So let me connect this. So we are dividing this into 4 phases. 1, give you a glimpse as to what exactly is AI across any walk, so that you should be able to have the fundamental understanding of how an AI primarily functions. And then we move on to understand the pain areas which a contact center goes through. And then we see how Haloocom's HEXA, which is a multilingual AI voice board, has been trying to find solution for the challenges that we have been facing. And then we will also see what could be the potential future in the space of contact center and customer experience from the AI perspective. So, let me connect. How many of you are swimmers? You all swim? In the swimming pool or in the beach? Can I see some hands? I already see here. Okay. All right. So, what I'm going to say, you may be able to relate better. So, let's assume you have jumped into this ocean. You're swimming, right? And now connect that with your day-to-day job, day-to-day work, day-to-day project. And then you start seeing the tide coming up, right? Tides are high, making it difficult for you to swim. Now you have 2 ways to handle it. 1, you fight with the tide. 2, you channelize with the tide, make use of that tide to swim forward. Here the tide is the AI, the revolution which AI is bringing across all walks of life, right? Now, you fight it, you cannot go longer. The revolution in itself will change us. So, better is to figure out the way how we can make use of this tool to enhance all of our lives in whichever walk we are into. Let's look at the fundamentals or the basics of AI. So, primarily there are 3 stages. Every product has to go through these 3 stages, and 80% of the innovations that we see in our country, in India, falls under the first stage, which is the ANI, the artificial narrow intelligence. So, what is artificial narrow intelligence? Simple. It just specializes in one task. At this stage, the human is far more capable than what a machine can do. Alright, so that's the stage 1. And then we go to stage 2, which is the artificial general intelligence. At this point of time, the machine and human are able to do tasks at a given productivity, and both of them are able to do the same set of tasks with the same kind of output. And then we move on to stage 3, which is the artificial super intelligence. Now, the word super says, right? So, this is an intellect which is much smarter than the best of what a human brain can. So, in stage 1 to stage 2, you are training the machine to deliver certain set of tasks the way you want it to deliver. In stage 2, the training continues, the learning continues. In stage 3 is where you actually start giving consciousness to a large extent to a board. Now, let's take for example an unmanned aerial vehicle, a UAV, which is used primarily in the militaries, right? Now, they do a far better job what human who is flying on top would be able to do, right? So that comes under ASI. So when people tell you in future, from the next moment once this event is over, that they are into AI, you should ask them in which stage they are, because Haloocom's HEXA and many other products which are into the conversational AI space or generative AI space, they fall under ANI, which is the artificial narrow intelligence. Let's move forward. Now, one of the important areas of AI, as you all know, is machine learning, right? That's where the AI becomes useful for us. Otherwise, it's just an automated system, right? There's a difference between automated, autonomous, and artificial intelligence. There is an intelligence that we have to give it. So, when it comes to machine learning, there are two areas. One is deep learning, the other one is reinforced or reinforcement learning, where you are giving inputs. Now, in basically deep learning, it runs on a hardware and software called as neural networks. Now, what the neural network does is you give it a large set of data and tell it what to do. It will do the analysis from the large set of data and perform the task. Example, image recognition, right? Now, image recognition is a task once if it is done by the neural network. You ask it to recognize cars. You upload, you start feeding data of cars. The next thing it can do is it can also start recognizing cars. You give it data of animals, it will start recognizing animals. Right? So that's the crux in the easiest way I could put across as to from a deep learning perspective. Whereas reinforcement learning is how well or how efficiently can the same task output can be multiplied to, right? So focuses on how an intelligent machine acts to maximize its output or reward. One of the best example is autonomous cars. If you look at the autonomous car, the way it is designed is there are a bunch of good points, there are a bunch of bad points. So when you do good, you get points added up, which means these are the things that you have to do. And if you make a wrong turn or somebody is crossing by and the car does not stop, does not recognize up to let's say 50 meters, well, that's a negative point. The machine knows that, okay, next time I'm not supposed to do that. That's the negative. The plus, okay, somebody is right in front of you, 50 meters, and then you brake the car. Okay, it's a good point. Okay, so that's how I have to do. So this is the kind of learning that at a very early stage, I mean today things have become much better, but at a very early stage, a lot of these things used to be manually engraved into the system. Now, this is something which all of you, now we are moving into second phase of this, the challenges that are faced by the contact centers. From the user perspective, I'm sure all of you, most of you will reason with whatever I have to say here, barriers in understanding, right? Not all of us can speak more than 4 to 5 languages, right? And we may be able to understand multiple languages, but to converse with people, 4 to 5 is something which we are good at. So often a barrier in understanding is something that we have seen from a language barrier perspective. Providing different modes of interaction, right? There is not just voice. Today there is video, there is chat, there are multiple modes of interaction. Adopting to new technology. We heard previously from the speakers, we will also hear more from people who have been into the digital space. Being in the digital space, the CTOs, their job is to bring in new technologies to make lives easier for agents, right? So your agents have to very fast adapt to that technology. The security aspect, I mean, a lot of unorganized contact centers even today do not have a very full-fledged technical infrastructure in place. They may still be using the agent's mobile number, WhatsApp number to reach out to the client, and then as an agent, your data is also getting compromised. All that a customer at 12 a.m. in the morning happens to call you, do a call and say that I have a problem, I need to speak to you. So even that, but that you mostly will see in more unorganized, in tier 3 types of contact centers. Repetitive task, I think 70% of the time it is the same thing. Namaskar sir, मैं आपकी क्या मदद कर सकता हूँ? मेरा पेमेंट नहीं जा रहे हैं. अच्छा, पेमेंट नहीं जा रहे हैं. So what is the resolution? It's the same thing 70% of the time. It's the same set of question, it's the same response, it's the same resolution. So why not have a machine maybe do that, right? So that's the thought that came for companies like us. High call volume. I was just talking to a gentleman here some time back, and high call volume was something which is something that we don't see it the way we understand it. In a sense, we were first company to implement a 24/7 contact center system for the government of Karnataka during the COVID time. And we set up the entire COVID war room, and then that became the first symbol of a war room based contact center implementation, and that was replicated across multiple places. Now at these places the call volumes are crazy, right? There are calls that needs the agent to bring out the emotional aspect of it, right? I mean, we had instances, I'm sure we ourselves would have had instances where we called and we said, hey, I need a bed for my loved one. There are no beds available. What do you do? So even a situation like that, an agent has to manage. So there is too much that goes on. So this is from the, if you are a supervisor or a BU head managing a BPO and trying your best to increase the, the CX component, this is something that we are all improving, but I believe we are fighting with it. We are battling with it day in and day out. High training and development cost. So we cannot expect an AI system. There are multiple ways to train an AI system. There are RAG deployment. There are different types of deployments with which you can feed in tons and tons of data. To a human, how much data would you be able to feed in? I'm going to talk to you guys for about 15-20 minutes. Let's say I'm going to talk to you for 15 more minutes extra. Whatever I'm going to speak is going to go above you. Right? There is a limit to what a human can take. There is a limit to how quickly can a human adapt to what you are trying to teach. So, but then hand in hand is the productivity as a supervisor. You have to look into the productivity of your center. At the same time, you also have to ensure that there is constant training and development happening for your agents. Unable to efficiently project the production or the output of your center. I've seen that firsthand. Okay, so do you think you would be able to achieve your numbers tomorrow? And I have a 500 plus team sitting there and bunch of team leaders and team supervisor, and I do a calculation, okay, per day, per agent, X, I have 500, so 500 into X, into tomorrow I would be able to deliver this much. And what happens tomorrow? Tomorrow there is a huge rain, there is traffic diversions, it's going to take time for people to reach, or out of the blue 10 people or 20 people go for a holiday. So how do you bridge those gaps, right? These are the gaps where AI can come in place, where you can power it on and it can take care of whatever gaps you're falling short of. Ever-growing real estate cost is something that nothing new for all of you. Too many tools to work with, agent attrition. I think this is insane. I think in the list of challenges which as a business head you would go through, managing a contact center, agent attrition would be right on top of it. So let's look at what about us as in the user or the customer, right? We are all a consumer at some point of time with some product. Long wait time. Getting passed around or even called getting disconnected. We had a situation where we ordered a laptop for one of our employee in Noida. Now, she was not there at the time when the delivery was happening. She was outside. So delivery wala called and told, "Madam, मैं laptop deliver करने के लिए आया हूँ, दे दूँ क्या यहाँ पे आप कॉल नहीं कोई है नहीं आप नहीं है बोल रहे हैं." Immediately she said, नहीं मैं बाहर हूँ आप एक काम करो भैया आप रिसेप्शन पे दे दो मैं कल आके कलेक्ट कर लूँगी. OTP दे दीजिए मैडम. She gave the OTP. He said he delivered. Next day morning she went and she asked the receptionist, "Give me my laptop." कल आया था. Madam कुछ नहीं आया कल. We went and checked the CCTV camera. This, that, nothing is there. What do? We had to file a complaint with the the e-commerce company, and the complaint went and went and went. I can't tell you how many calls people made, how many emails we had sent, and somehow at that point of time, see anything when it's critical, you've spent 60, 70K on that laptop and the laptop is missing, nobody is taking the ownership, you actually want to talk to somebody. You don't want to just chat with someone, you actually want to speak to someone. And we were thrown from one department to the other department. These are some common instances I'm sure you would have also experienced. So that's where the inconsistency in the customer experience comes in. Regional language barrier. By the way, how many languages are there in India? 22 officially recognized languages. Who was that? Perfect. That was right. So, if you look at language, there is Bhasha, there is Boli. Bhasha is the language, which means is the language Hindi, but the spoken language, which is Boli, can also be Bhojpuri. Right? So, how do you ensure, just because I can read and write Hindi, that doesn't mean I can read and write Bhojpuri. Bhojpuri is something which I would just speak. So such language barriers are another reason for the dip in the customer experience. Convoluted return process, integration issues. सर मेरे पास information नहीं है. कल आपने अपडेट किया था क्या? नहीं मेरे पास अपनी information है ही नहीं. मैं कॉल पे हूँ और कॉल एकदम से disconnect हो जाता है. There is no data and things like that. So these are some of the common challenges that we see that contact centers face, due to which your CX dips. So let's have a look at Haloocom's HEXA, which is a multilingual voice book. Now, there are two types of, when we talk about voice books, there are two types of voice book. One is a Q&A voice book. Q&A voice book is like a first standard level. That is something which you will find anybody be able to do. I ask you a question, you respond to it. Predefined questions are there, it's yes, no. The other one is a conversational book. Now that's something really serious, because that is where you are having a one-to-one conversation with the bot, just how you would interact with a human. Right? So the HEXA happens to be a conversational bot, and it has 6 Indian languages with 17 international languages. Now these languages are very strong to an extent that you can converse with them in any of those 6 languages for hours together. We have benchmarked it to talk to the board for 15 minutes during our research times and testing times. Not just that, it also has adaptive language switching option. So I'm speaking to you in English. You respond to me back in Hindi. What's the next obvious thing I would do? If I know the language, I'll speak back in the same language, right? So that's the same thing HEXA would do. It can switch languages in between any of these languages, recognizing the language that you're speaking. So the call will start with English. The moment you speak in Hindi, it will switch to Hindi. And the next time you switch to Marathi, it will switch back to Marathi or Kannada or Malayalam or Telugu or Tamil. So that's adaptive language switching. Now, all of these that we do, the conversational AI, the generative AI, LLM happens to be the heart of it, the crux of it, which is the language model, right? And this is a large language model. Now, often what happens is, what is a large language model might not be useful for you, for your business, for your process. So which means, for your process, what suits your business process, you may have to tweak the LLM, right? So we can customize the LLM. Of course, it has to be integrated across with any database, any CRM, ERP, social media, so that whatever a human would go and manually click in and do things, the AI bot should be able to do it. It just gets the API. We have to do API integration. It gets the trigger and knows what to be done. We had one of these companies who wanted, they were providing fleet for corporate. They had this software and they said, if a vehicle stops beyond a designated period of time at a spot, immediately a call has to be triggered to a person who is traveling inside, not to the driver, to a person who is traveling inside the vehicle, asking them what happened, why the vehicle is not moving, right? So nothing happens. It's a GPS based system. It stays there for more than 10 minutes. Immediately an API is triggered. Okay, I think we are running out of time, so I'll just hurry a bit. And then we also give you an on-premise. I mean, there are a lot of people here who may come from a fintech background, from a banking background. You don't want your sensitive data to sit in the cloud. How many of you are aware the recent news of iPhone, where we delete the photos, right? And then what do? We go to recently deleted in iPhone and delete the images. Somehow, about 2 months back, it's there in Google, you can check. Mysteriously, after an update of iPhone, all the deleted data started appearing back into your gallery. I mean, how on earth did that happen? If you have deleted something right now, your belief is that it's deleted, right? But, well, that's not the case. It is somewhere there in the cloud. In an archiving log, we don't know. So, we give an option for the client to actually have this implemented in your premise so that the data does not go out to anywhere across any of the cloud, stays in your network. Let's quickly look at, how you could possibly use a voice bot in your business process, right? Now, when it comes to life insurance companies, they have been using voice bot for a very long. They were the first early adapters in this country to move into voice bot. And what are they using the voice bot for? Clarification on policy details, renewals, payment reminders, video KYC, and we have one of our customers who have actually moved 65% of routine mundane these tasks to a voice bot. So what happens is, now the agent is able to focus on more complex tasks. It doesn't have to do, sir, aapka payment due hai sir, or you do just a random voice blast. We get voice blast. This is a reminder to tell you that your due is so and so and things like that. But you actually have a AI bot speak to the customer and try and understand when they will be making the repayment, or if they have a concern, we try to address their concern. All of it, a bot will be able to do. Recruitment. Now, in recruitment firm, 72% of the time of a recruiter is spent only to do the first round of screening of an agent, or candidate. So they make the first round of call and they talk to them, oh, what's your background? Do you have experience in this skill, and etc., etc. So what we did is we launched the recruiter bot. It makes the first round of call, have a conversation with the agent, a beautiful conversation, and rate that agent against the metric that you have created and score that particular candidate. Once that is done, now the same recruiter who was doing initial round of call, now I am able to spend my time to do second round or third round of activities. Another area, agriculture. Now, we all know, so we have partnered with this company which is into soil testing. Now they are on a mission. They are on a mission to create a disruption, to fix certain things which we are all going through, but we are ignoring, right? One of these days, the other day, when we had next to me the CEO of 𝙆𝙚𝙾𝙾𝙾𝙾 Hospital, he was saying that they have the data, right? Say Apollo Hospital Group. So they figured out there is a 56% rise in the cases around bowel diseases, digestive systems, cancer, and things like that. And there were manifold increases of IVF and all kinds of centers like this to support people in many of these problems that recently the human race has been facing. And all of these somewhere is connected with the type of food that we eat, right? So they said it is because the farmers are not aware about the right amount of fertilizer they have to use. So the fertilizer, the company which makes the fertilizer, they kind of do the market and say that use this fertilizer and your crops will, yield will increase up to 30% and all of it. So he goes and uses it, and all of these comes to our house as poison. We are forced to eat, or we feed our kids as well with that. So this company is on a mission to fix the soil itself. Now, where we are partnering with them is an area where the farmers, they need to be guided. If they want to reach out to somebody, they don't know to go and send a WhatsApp message in Bhojpuri and get a response in Bhojpuri. Or they don't know to send an email. They just need a number where they speak to somebody. So that somebody is, in our case, is an AI agent. It's a voice, it's a bot which is trained to handle multiple areas, like how much fertilizer to use, what should be the quantity, what should be the quality of the fertilizer. So the moment a call comes, the AI agent knows the background about this particular farmer. What was the last time he purchased, from where he purchased, how much did he use, did he do the soil testing, what was the result of the soil testing. So even the soil testing part is actually integrated, right? So this is another area where I believe these three scenarios were just for you to just provoke yourself a thought as to where else you would be able to implement a product like AI voice bot. Coming to the last slide, I know we are running late, I'll just take another 2-3 minutes, which is the future of AI in the contact center space, in the CX space. The adaptation of CX in the globally across all platforms is estimated to rise up to $77 billion by 2033. That's where the pace is very high. And somebody like PwC had done a research. I'm sorry, the slides are not moving, so I'm just going to take you through. They did the research and they figured out that about 52% of companies have already deployed AI-based tool in some form or the other. So AI is something which is something which you should take in and figure out how it can actually help you scale your business operations, scale your productivity. Coming to the last bit, which is the future of AI in CX and in the contact center space. The first thing that we foresee is adaptation of AI agents to do repetitive mundane tasks, human agents doing complex tasks. The second thing that we see is the rise of contact centers which will be agentless, right? There won't be any human agents. There will be only, oh yeah, we are back. So this is, the research part of it I was talking about, the PwC. And yeah, Gartner predicts that by 2025, 80% of customer service and support organizations leading to better customer service productivity and satisfaction. We were in this last slide where we were talking about the increased adaptation of AI agents of repetitive mundane tasks, rise of no human agent, 100% AI agent contact centers. Well, it is difficult to set up, but from a cost perspective and the amount of effort required to set up a 100% agentless contact center is something that is possible maybe in years to come, and maybe in the next 1 or 2 years. But you still need to have to keep the human quotient there, because it is them who is going to manage. Remember, all of these falls under ANI. Yeah, artificial narrow intelligence. And in narrow intelligence, human is far more powerful than the machine. So you still need people to manage these contact center, but the regular agent job, which is routine stuffs, will be small stuffs will be taken care by. And then rise of AI-preneurs. Just the way we saw a lot of TikTok and the Insta and the YouTube influencers, right? They becoming an entrepreneur on themselves, and ability to generate wealth around it. You will also start seeing rise of AI-preneurs where they might be sitting at home. They will approach a company like Haloocom or any other company which is into the same space and say, hey, you know what? Give me 50 AI voice bots. I want these voice bots to do these 10 things, and these are the 5 languages that I want them to do. Let them do it, right? So this is something which would happen. So we come to an end of, thank you for listening to me very patiently. We come to the end of it. So we come back to you with the message that AI is inevitable. We either transform or allow it to transform us. I think it's better that we transform, make use of this technology for your advantage. All right? Any questions, anybody? Please.
So some of the stuff that you've mentioned, right, very interesting, and I have also come across a lot of this on some of these Instagram reels where they mention how AI bots, conversational bots are used for different type of mundane tasks like you mentioned, right? So what I also wanted to understand is, do you see it being used also for some sales related calls as well? Just to give you an understanding right now. Let's say for instance, I would like to warm a customer up to the idea of our product or service. So say that warming up just requires first a certain amount of information that needs to be given and not really more a to and fro conversation. Do you see these type of things being used well over there? Because at least from how this conversation was going, it seemed like it could be used well where not too much two-way interaction is required. So just a one-way, minimum two-way, and a lot of information is being passed on. Do you see this being used well on sales calls as well?
Yeah, so we have the technology and the space has become so mature that you can even tell the kind of boat that you need. So if you say, I need a collection boat, right? Now, if I'm going to call you and speak to you and say that, hey, you owe this much money, I'm not going to be the sweet, nice, lovely little child who's going to talk to you. I will be a little authoritative. I'll be a little commanding because I need to instill a certain fear. I need to instill that this is something serious, right? So you can take that intent and bring in those values into the voice as well. So we have gone to an extent where you have a collection specific voice or you have a sales specific voice, right? So all of it, the industry has become mature as we speak. So there is possibilities, yes. Anybody else? All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Possibilities limitless.